Minding Your Business, the show for entrepreneurs. I'm your host, June Middleton. We have three really wonderful entrepreneurial guests on the show this evening. One, a very special guest, but we will get to her in a little while. We have John Anselmo, who is the author of a wonderful book called The Newstand. And I read it, and I really enjoyed it a lot. We have Joe Sanfratello, who is the owner and principal of Click Marketing and Public Relations, a business that does internet and, well, he'll tell us more about it. He certainly is more of an expert than I am. So I am just delighted to also have as our special guest, Mary Anselmo, who is going to talk to us about some wonderful things, including her chef skills, which I'm very interested in hearing about. So they all have absolutely wonderful careers, have done exciting things, and which include writing and technology and engineering and film and television. So I am pleased to have them on Minding Your Business, and something that you've been doing, minding your business, for a long time. And I'm delighted. John, let's start with you. You've been here before. Welcome back.
Well, thank you.
And you're more than welcome. And it's just, there were so many things that I wanted to talk to you about concerning your book that we just didn't have time to get to. So let's see if we can cover some of them this evening. What I really was interested in, a lot of people now are doing, because of the internet and the marketing that's available on the internet, a lot of people are publishing their own books. This is really a massive undertaking, and I'm just so impressed with you that you did it. What I wanted to ask you before, which I will ask you now, tell us something about the process that you go through in publishing your own book.
Well, I dealt with a company called McNally Jackson, and they actually made it quite easy. I gave them the book on a disc, and they were able to format it with not too much difficulty into a book. And they have a machine called the Espresso office printing machine, and or sometimes they call it the Espresso book machine. And they're able to actually...
I saw that. I've been trying to figure out, what is EMB? Okay, Espresso.
Espresso.
Terrific.
And they actually have this machine that I understand cost about $100,000 that actually can print the book, cover and all, in 5 minutes. So the book you see there is printed in 5 minutes on this machine in their bookstore.
What a great thing to be able to do, because you don't get stuck with a lot of inventory.
Right.
And they don't get stuck with a lot of inventory. People order a book and they print it up and get it sent out.
Exactly. And they have a book on the shelf, and a person can buy that particular book if it's not handled too much, if they want that one, or they can say, I would prefer you print me one. And they'll print them one within a 5 minute,
cover
10
to cover,
minutes.
including
the cover. It's amazing.
And that is
And
amazing.
I understand there aren't that many in the world of this machine. It's somewhat unique.
Now, you said they gave you a lot of help. I know this wonderful young lady sitting next to you gave you a lot of help with the book as well. But for the publishing company, did they do any editing or proofing or anything like that for you?
No, they don't do that. They offer the service, but I decided not to.
It's like buying a car. You add on the things that you...
There's add-ons, yes. You can add on, but
now,
it's very economical.
Is the basic price, though, reasonable? I mean, is it something that...
Yes, it's of the order of $500 or something like that. It depends what options you take.
And it doesn't matter, well, I guess the number of pages, though, because I mean, this book is, it's a pretty thick book.
It's 433 pages.
Ah, okay.
So
it didn't feel like that when I was reading it, though. It went very
you.
fast. It was really good.
People say it's a fast read, and when the $500, and that's a round number. They have it could even be less, and it could be slightly more. It depends what you have. But then that's just their service to put the book together for you to make it not an ebook, but to make it a book that they can print.
Yeah, well, we do want to get to the ebooks, because I know that your book is on Kindle, or you can...
It's on Kindle and it's on the Nook, Barnes & Noble.
Uh-huh.
And I owe that to Joe, because Joe formatted it and got it on, in that case, on both of those. And he also did my website.
Yeah, we're going to find out about the website and look at it when we talk to Joe about his business. But for the actual, I mean, how did you come to know that, okay, I've got an idea, I'm going to write a 400-page book? I mean, you know, how many people can do that?
I've been ruminating on it a long time, and I was encouraged by some people, friends, co-workers, that said, you know, you really should write a book. And what it had happened that I finally said, okay, I'm going to start, and I actually started in the middle, on a flight to Copenhagen.
Oh my gosh.
With Mary.
Ah.
And it was an 8 or 9 hour flight, and I wrote on a spiral-bound notebook as fast as I could, hoping that she could type it for me and get it into the computer. And and then I worked both ways. I worked toward the end and I worked toward the beginning. It's kind of a strange way, but that was just the way my brain worked.
Isn't that interesting? Well, you know, a lot of people that I've talked to, and I know even for myself as well, knowing where to start can be the hardest thing. Right. And I know that I have certainly talked to people about, if you're going to write anything, just start. Don't think of, oh, well, what should the beginning be? Don't even go there, because you'll be there on that first page, blank first page,
right,
forever. So you just start and put down your thoughts. And
that's what
this is what you did. Mm-hmm. And it worked.
Yes, it did. It really did.
Oh, that's great. Now, how long did it actually take you? It's over a period of years?
It took about 3 years. Wow. But I do work as an engineer, so it wasn't full time. It's also a thing where sometimes you have the creative juices and sometimes you don't.
Right,
so
right.
I could work in spurts and then not work for a little while, and then I get another idea, or sometimes in the middle of the night I would get an idea, or while I was shaving I would get an idea. So
you weren't trying to write then, were
no,
you?
But
you'd have a lot of cuts.
Yeah. Yeah,
it could be dangerous.
It could be dangerous, but just thinking.
Yeah, Oh, that's great. And I mean, you didn't use anything to talk into a tape recorder
or
anything like that? You just wrote everything?
And I actually wrote it longhand, as fast as I could.
Longhand?
Yes.
And Mary, did you transcribe that from longhand?
I did.
I
did.
143,000 words.
Oh my gosh. That's right, the computer will count them.
Yes.
You got paid by the word? We won't go there. Never. I'm thinking like a lawyer. Right? Oh, but that had to have been a wonderful joint experience.
It was. I enjoyed typing it.
Oh.
And she gave me a lot of advice along the way, especially in dialogue. Sometimes if I was going off on a tangent, not using the right words of the era, let's say.
To bring you back into focus.
Right, I had to get back to my teenage John Anselmo, not the middle-aged.
Yeah, that teenage John Anselmo, really. You had a very interesting on one Carroll Street, or
Crosby
what was
Street. Crosby Street.
I know it was a street that started with a C, where after hours and on the weekends and times when it wasn't too busy with traffic.
It's hard to believe, but now it's loaded with traffic. Crosby Street.
Well, this is what we were talking about before, how all areas of the city are changing.
Yes.
And now I know that you have another novel in you, which we're going to talk about some, but I'd like very much to know something about the marketing process, because, I mean, this is the major issue, not just with getting a book out there, but with doing business, with getting clients, with doing anything. And Joe, this is where I'd like to talk to you, and this is where I know that the area that you specialize in.
Right.
You have a very interesting business and company. It's called Click Marketing and Public Relations. How did you come up with the idea to have this business?
Well, previously I way back years ago, worked on traditional marketing through agencies and also public relations. Just naturally over time, that was in the mid to late 90s, and then the online marketing kind of came naturally. A lot of the strategies we were using traditionally, which John has done a great job with offline, we started incorporating those online. So a lot of online marketing companies specialize really in maybe one aspect of online marketing, which might be paid advertising or SEO, the organic.
Now, okay, we have to stop and define all terms that we're not all familiar with. You said SEO, search
engine optimization.
And what exactly is that?
So that sometimes it's overused. I think a lot of people catch that as a buzzword. It's when you basically optimize your website.
And in optimizing your website, it means if you put in a search term,
Sure.
that somehow you have arranged for it to bubble up to the top to be one of the first companies that's going to be found. Is that?
Well, that's the goal. It's a combination of, there's some technical aspects to SEO and also.
But that's the goal of.
That's the goal, absolutely.
To get your site be seen first before somebody else's.
Right. And so SEO is really one element of online marketing, and I like to call it online business development, because the same way offline you'd want to increase your business through sales or leads, that's really the goal for online also. Again, maybe 10 years ago, the initial metric, a way to gauge how well you were doing, was to increase the traffic. But then after kind of the newness to it kind of wore off, companies said, we want to rank well, but we need qualified traffic.
Now, is this where click comes from? Because is
Sure.
there a way that you can find out by clicks that register on your website, everybody who visits your website?
Right. So actually with John, we just implemented Google Analytics, which is a free analytics tool. So you can look at all the traffic that's coming to your site.
Now, in looking at the traffic that comes to your sites, I know that everybody that has anything to do with the computer puts cookies, so to speak. It's sort of like the breadcrumbs. I think of Hansel and Gretel, who were getting lost and they were dropping breadcrumbs so they could find their way back. Is this actually the principle of cookies on the computer? If you visit a website, you sort of like drop breadcrumbs?
Well, so actually a site that you visit, the cookie, it kind of allows your browser to know that you already visited it. So it loads the content up a bit
Now, your
faster.
browser would be what?
The browser is, if you're online, an example would be Internet Explorer or Google Chrome.
Google is a browser,
Right.
okay.
Safari for the Mac platform. So the browser is what displays all the web content. So it started off originally to help the pages load faster, but now marketing companies also use it so they can kind of create profiles on what sites that you visited and how to retarget to you, market to you. So I'm sure maybe you visited sites in the past, and then when you go into your email program or to other websites, you might see an ad that's similar to a site that you just went to. So it's a way to it's also kind of changed a bit over time, where it was all based on keywords. You would put in a keyword and up would come results that you're looking for. Now a lot of it's behavioral, depending on the profile sites that you visit.
They know who and where you are.
Absolutely.
There is no privacy. That's scary. But at the same time, I mean, it's incredible for marketing.
It is, and a lot of the data is clear. You really want that data to drive a lot of your marketing decisions. But Google also has
So
a
when
privacy.
you say drive, you mean help you to make the decision as to what it is that you want to target or concentrate on?
Right, because especially with small business, a lot of times the business owner tries to make a decision on what they feel is their gut feeling or their instinct, or what they kind of want their business to put out, that kind of messaging. But it's really important to look at the data, because what you really want for the business might not be exactly what the need is for the traffic coming to your site. So it's really a fine line between the business owner accepting that they need to, at times, communicate differently with the visitor and not just talk about what they're offering. So with that data, it kind of helps you, again, if you're doing paid programs or organic, it helps you focus on where you want to really focus your efforts for the marketing for the incoming traffic.
So you really, do you really develop a business? I think I just lost a pin for my mic, but I'm going to hold it here because I want you to hear me.
Sure.
So when you are thinking in terms of developing your business and you might spend, I don't know how expensive you are, but you might spend a lot of money on developing a website.
Sure.
Does the website itself really help you develop your business?
My corporate site or a client's website?
For your site and for your clients. I mean, what is
Sure.
the driving force that you have a website, you bring it up, and in fact, maybe we can look at your website and you can explain to us
Sure.
something about what would work to bring business to your website, because you also did John's
Right,
website.
that's correct.
And okay, there's Click Marketing.
Sure.
And what are we looking at?
So this is the homepage for the Click Marketing and Public Relations site. So it's clickmarketingandpr.com. So what you see here is on the top navigation. That's really the top categories of the website. And you can see the focus for the business that communicates the traffic is marketing or public relations. And for each navigation link at the top, there are subpages. So basically what you want here is, again, on marketing to get targeted traffic for people looking for online or traditional business development. And again, this kind of goes back to where I saw an opportunity to not just specialize in one aspect of online marketing, but combining traditional offline and online marketing. So it's true business development. So here at the homepage, you pretty much want to say as much as you can to capture that visitor. Because there are
People don't like to read. This is the problem that I have.
Right.
People do not like to read, and as soon as someone sees a lot of words, they sort of like back away. How do you get around that? Is this where the animation comes in, or
Sure.
to try to make it more attractive and interactive, so that
right.
you're looking at something else happening besides just a lot of words that people don't really want to read?
You're correct. Right now, especially, the trend is to be very light on copy. You want a call to action, not too many calls to action, but each page should have, it's called the CTA, where either you're trying to capture an email address or you want someone to contact you or maybe to make a purchase. So usually there's really different ways to do that. So,
Now, you have a background in television.
yes.
Tell us about that. What did you do, and what have you done in television?
So I used to edit on the Avid. So that was video editing.
Edit videos?
Right.
And how did you learn to do that? Is it something that you taught yourself to do, or did
no.
you take courses in it?
Sure. No, it's actually my father was in the business way back in, say, the 50s and 60s. He started out with a company called Sterling Manhattan Cable, which was owned by Charles Dolan of Cablevision, and he was actually a program manager. He was also a color engineer, when that first came out in the industry.
So what did you do,
So I was-
start there as an intern or something?
Well, right, so he worked at studios in Manhattan. I kind of learned a lot through him, but then also went through some formal training on the equipment.
And what kind of shows did you find yourself working on?
Oh gosh, we first started out doing tape duplication, which I'm sure the guys here know about, where big duplication house where we'd have a master tape and make copies. Then from there, we had larger clients that rented the editing suites on a regular basis, like Viacom. So there were shows for Nickelodeon, MTV. And back then, the offline edit suites were pretty expensive, and they booked them out regularly. So there I learned how to do assistant editing, and then got onto the digital.
So how did you segue into what it is that you're doing now?
Right. So from there, I worked for a local cable station on Long Island called Telecare, and we did a high school debate show. It was my idea. I was producing, and I was writing the show scripts, and I was interested in having a celebrity judging panel. So I had a couple of Supreme Court justices, and then kind of made a cold call to Judge Jerry Scheinlin from the People's Court. Right. So from there, he agreed to do the show. It went pretty well, and then through his publicist at the time, they invited me to come on board with them for their public relations company.
Oh my gosh.
And this was in the late 90s.
Oh. But your attention was drawn more to technology and learning
right,
about...
so-
How long have you been designing websites?
Designing websites from around 2002. Because let's say I was with television public relations through about 2000. And from there, I saw an opportunity online. We were so focused on the trade publications, all the ratings of the show, and even some of the gossip, the publications. So from there, I started to try to get placements on the websites. And at first, people were saying, "What are you doing?" Everyone wants to pick up a magazine and a newspaper. So I kind of like the creativity of online.
Well, now, when you and John were working together to develop your website for the book, what was it that your goal was? To just have a colorful, interesting website, or
Sure.
to make it something that where business would be driven to it? I mean, how do you start out? What do you first? I mean, this is where you have to sit down and actually talk to your client,
Absolutely.
who happens to
And
be your
so-
cousin.
Right.
I have an interesting aside, because he mentioned his father and cable TV. And 40 years ago, he told me, you know, there's this new thing called cable TV. I think you should invest in it. And I unfortunately said,
Welcome
gonna-
to cable TV.
well, my answer at the time was, well, who's going to pay for TV?
Oh my gosh.
And I missed the boat.
And now the question is, who's going to continue to watch network TV?
Right.
Because everything is, if it's not the internet, it's cable.
So I certainly missed the boat on that one.
Well, there'll be another boat. You're going to Italy, aren't you?
Yes. By plane, though.
Don't miss the, oh, all right. But I'm sure you'll do some, something on the water while you're there. So, Mary, you really are our special guest here this
thank
evening.
you.
And I'm just delighted that you were willing to join us, because so often when someone has written a book, as your husband did, there's usually somebody there who's making the meals, making sure that he doesn't get totally lost in the writing and continues to eat and take care of other necessities.
This problem now.
What actually, and I'm sure you were also involved in giving ideas for the website as well, that you did, Joe, but what exactly did you find yourself doing when he was going through the process of writing the book? You typed all the handwritten notes?
I typed all the handwritten notes, and I helped him with proofreading, did a little editing, and just kind of advised him.
Proofreading and editing are major areas for, particularly you're thinking about a 400-page book. That's a lot of proofing.
It was, but
Yeah.
it was fun. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, and I mean, this was in between you cooking some of your favorite dishes.
Yes.
Our director, Ed, my son, is an amateur chef, and I'm sure we would love to hear what's one of your favorite recipes that got him going where the book was concerned.
I just do a lot of cooking, a lot of pastas and eggplant and vegetables, and
Sounds like very healthy, but yet flavorful.
I try. I like
Pasta bolognese.
pasta bolognese, and I like to cook. I get myself in trouble in the supermarket when I see something like an artichoke, then I'm in the kitchen for 3 hours.
She makes excellent stuffed artichokes.
Thank you.
I haven't had dinner.
Just about any kind of Italian dish that you can think of, really.
Oh
Just,
my gosh. And I mean, are these recipes that you're using family that were passed down, or you make your own, or you read them from a book?
A little
or-
of everything. It's easy to improvise a little bit and be a little bit creative sometimes.
Now, the two of you who have been married for, what, 45
45
years?
years.
45.
Yes.
and a half.
Oh, gee. And you're taking off to a trip to Italy?
Mm-hmm.
For how long?
It's a quick trip.
It's about 10 days.
10 days.
And are you going to be doing any writing while you're there,
Yes.
or on your way there?
Well, I have about 325 pages of the sequel to the Newstand written, but I'm starting a new novel.
Don't give the idea away.
It just takes place in a cooking school in Tuscany.
Because we can't trademark ideas or
Right.
copyright them. So,
So that's all I can say. It takes place in a cooking school in Tuscany in present day.
do you believe that we're running out of time?
No.
I cannot believe this. And I just have still so many things that I wanted to talk to you about. You have to come back. We have to do this again. And I just want to thank you so much for being here and talking to us about these fascinating things. And you have been very informative about the process of designing a website and about cooking and editing as well, and about you writing your book and being an engineer, and you're still working as an engineer.
And we're actually
Yes,
quite busy because I'm a coastal waterfront designer, and
You
we're
got involved
busy
in
with
Sandy.
Sandy, yes.
Wow, wow. Well, I want to give you a very, very special thanks for being here. Also, a very special thanks to Manhattan Neighborhood Network, to my son Ed, who is our floor manager and director, and also a very, very big special thanks to Rich and Drew and Roberto for helping us with this show. It's just been really terrific. And you've been watching Minding Your Business, the show for incredible entrepreneurs. See yourself where you want to be. And I'm your host, June Middleton. And in the few minutes that we have left, what I'd like to have a little bit of time for is, what's your advice to people who want to start writing, who want to do their own book, who want to build a website? There are a lot of entrepreneurs that are out there watching the show. Tell them some of the things, share some of your experiences with them.
Sure. Well, I mean, the thing I kind of liked about doing my own consulting was from the agency, the client just became a number. So to me, I treat the client as I want my business to be treated. And so I think it's a reflection on me, and also I'd want someone to be promoting my business as well as I can for them.
And quickly, what's the difference between marketing and public relations?
That's very good. So with the marketing, that's company driven, so that you're putting out your messaging
When you
about your
say
company.
company driven, what do you mean?
That's really the company's message. That's the marketing that you're putting
So
out.
whatever the company wants to convey.
Right.
In fact, somebody said that they found the formula for Coca-Cola.
Oh,
And they're selling it on Amazon or eBay
gosh.
for some millions of dollars, but I digress. Go ahead.
no, so marketing's great. It allows you to control your messaging, whereas
Right.
public relations has a tremendous value also because it's a third party kind of endorsing your business and your service. So really when you combine them both, it's full business development.
So if someone wants to develop, they already have a business, they are not on the internet yet, what's the first thing they should do? Besides talk to you, of course, but what is the first thing they should be thinking about?
Really research the opportunity online to see where their niche is and where to spend their time and money to really market their business. So really doing research with their competitors online and seeing the opportunity.
And this is really wonderful. Mary, please bring back some recipes I'd like to try from Italy. And John, when do you think you'll be ready to publish your next book?
Probably in about a year, I think.
So you're going to come back and talk about it?
Yes, I will. And hopefully Joe's marketing is going to help me bring me into the